Today, on The American Land Seller, we're talking about what it actually looks like to build something from scratch. No safety net, no silent partners, no easy button, just grit, clarity, and systems that do the heavy lifting when you're too tired to do it yourself. This week I'm sitting down with Shannon Hart. She's not flashy, but she's fierce. One of those rare operators who don't need to raise her voice to run the room. She co-owns High Point Land Company, one of the Midwest's top land brokerages, with her husband Jacob, and somehow also built a vacation rental business that basically runs itself. Decorah High Point Cabins stays full, runs 90% automated, and proves you don't need to be everywhere to make an impact. Today, Shannon and I dig into what it really takes to work with your spouse and stay married, why boundaries and automations aren't nice to haves, they're survival gear, and how to tell the difference between what deserves your time and what you can finally let go of. If you've ever second-guessed your pace, your path, or whether the quiet work matters, this one's for you. This isn't a story about going viral or scaling fast. It's about showing up, staying aligned, and building slow on purpose. Shannon's story won't hype you up. It'll ground you. And sometimes that's the kind of fuel we really need.
Welcome to the American Land Seller Podcast with your host, Kobe Rickardson. Kobe is an accredited land consultant and multi-state land broker with High Point Land Company. Join us each week as we explore all things land. We bring you fresh insights and expert guests on sales, marketing, regulations, economics, and so much more. Visit www.americanlandseller.com and find us on one of your favorite podcast platforms.
Okay, Kobe and our special guests, let's get started.
All right, and we are back here with the American Land Seller, and today we have the honor of having Shannon Hart from High Point Land Company. I know that company. How are you today?
Good. How are you doing, Kobe?
You know what? I'm just trying to stay busy, boss.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, wasting time with podcasts. No, I'm kidding.
Well, it's fun to do podcasts sometimes. I try and put one out once a week, and so I really appreciate you. I know you guys are busy, a lot of stuff going on at High Point, and we're going to get into all the fun, exciting things that have been going on over the last 6 months or so at High Point. But let's start out by talking just a little bit about, you've kind of just come on strong, kind of about the same time that I joined, I think. Talk just a little bit about what it's like to be a co-owner and chief marketing officer of a juggernaut, land real estate company in central United States.
Yeah, you're correct in saying I kind of came on a little bit more within the last 3 years. My husband is the founder of High Point Land Company, so I've always kind of been in the business. And I like to joke that before, my official title was crisis management. So it was just whatever, like if somebody couldn't get something figured out, it was, call Jacob's wife, Shannon, she'll have it figured out. But I've really never had like a true position there. I've never been the secretary. I've never been anything of that nature. I kind of went off on my own tangent, taking care of our other real estate and investment portfolios and starting a micro luxury cabin resort.
Yeah.
So then that transpired, and that baby is flying and it's doing all of its things. And that's when, Jacob and I were having a discussion, as we do like every morning over coffee. And he's like, do you think we could ever get High Point to run as smooth as the cabins? Now, obviously in a brokerage, and especially in a land brokerage across, dozens of states and multiple different agents, it's a lot more chaos and it's a lot more moving parts. However, with the right processes and systems, I know that we can do that. We've done a lot with marketing. We've done a lot with promoting. We've done a lot with recruiting. But at the end of the day, we like a lot of different brokerages, we ended up growing faster than we anticipated. So we didn't quite have everything in place for the whole system to be unified and to work cohesively. So that's where I stepped in. And my background is definitely in marketing. I've done very well in different aspects of marketing, specifically social media, website, SEO, Google, more of the internet-based media. And it's been super fun implementing all of my talents and my skills into this amazing thing that we call High Point.
Yeah, that's one of the fun things. That's one of the reasons why I really wanted to encourage you to come onto the podcast, because that's one of the visions that you and I definitely share is that I come at real estate sales like a lot different than a lot of people, in the sense that my whole vision when I first joined is that I don't know everything about what goes on with every aspect of real estate, right? Like I don't understand um seed production, and I don't understand what fertilizer needs to be put where, and and I don't understand where deer stands need to go to be the most effective. That's not my gift. I understand marketing. I understand how to put your property in front of the right people, and I also understand how I'm going to sit at my desk and I'm going to think about it and come at a different angle until I do put it in front of the right people. That's my gift. And so, I think that's where we kind of have that, we share that vision of, it's not necessarily, I will study the property and figure out, what's there and where the value is at. And I do know, I guess I don't want to misrepresent that. I do know like the values of the properties and what we're dealing with, but my calling is more on the marketing side. And so talk about there's been, we at High Point, and again, I toot everybody else's company's horn, so I'm definitely going to toot our horn. Like we have like high standards,
We do.
not just for what product we're putting out there, as far as like on our online marketing, any sort of print collateral that goes out of our office, what are the controls that we have on what our agents are putting in their clients' hands, all the way down to the actual flesh and blood collateral that we're putting out there with with the High Point shirts on them. Where does that vision come from? I mean, I know that you having your coffee with Jacob in the morning. Um, where did share with us a little bit origin story wise, like where did that vision come from for you two?
Yeah. We met when we were in our 20s and just a couple of broke kids. And, I think the misinterpretation sometimes is that we were, that Jacob's father used to work with us in High Point. He was brought on after Jacob founded High Point. I think the misinterpretation is that although Kevin is amazing, Kevin didn't found High Point Land Company. I think the misinterpretation is that we inherited money, that we got, these big properties and these beautiful cabins, and that we got kind of everything handed to us. And in that vision came about. One, Jacob was just trying to sling whatever he could with real estate or auctions, and he really found a love for land. And I myself come from a dairy farm background in Wisconsin and hunting and all the things out in nature. And I love land. I love farming operations. I love all the things, but I always said I would never marry a farmer. Like I grew up with my grandpa being an organic dairy farmer. Like it's the heart of the hard. And I never wanted to marry a farmer. So I said, that's fine. You go and sell land specifically and we'll do that. I know that we can do that, but you're not allowed to become a straight farmer, because I couldn't live that life again. And with that, those two backgrounds paired in the passion that Jacob wanted, because he didn't grow up that way. Like he did grow up hunting, but he didn't grow up on a farm, but he always wanted to. And paired with someone who is me, who has grown up on a farm and understands the logistics and everything, it really paired well. And in that, I realized that in order to go on this journey with Jacob and spend more time with him and do more out in the land and hunt and all the different things, I needed to get out of basically corporate America, because I had 10 years of being in banking. I was in banking since I was 14 years old, moved up to an assistant branch manager at the age of 23. Like, I had a lot of experience in banking, but I also knew it wasn't conducive to running auctions at the, live auctions at the time, or I would literally bring like stacks of plat books to the bank and I would go through and line item by line item, go through every single landowner who owned 40 acres or more, and would sit there and handwrite them letters as part of marketing and for Jacob's company. And we weren't even married at the time. So we made the decision that I would come and help him run some of his long-term rentals. And I had, in my past experience, I had helped run an outfit. So I knew kind of like the hospitality aspect. I had been a bartender in college, waitress, all the kind of things. So I knew the hospitality aspect of it. And I had also gone to college for psychology. Psychology is something that has always intrigued me, one, for my personal development, but then also to understand other people and what really drives them in their decision making, or why they do things the way that they do, so those two pair together. Later on, I will realize they all pair together, but I didn't realize that at the time. So spending time and running the long-term rentals and getting my feet wet with that. I think I sold Mary Kay at the time, like all those different aspects. Jacob was trying to just do land only. He got a few auctions, things started kicking off for him. And we had always dreamed of finding our perfect farm. And it came up, and we had no money. We had to leverage a couple of our, long-term rentals, which was basically our only consistent income, which wasn't that much. But we didn't need much at the time, and ended up buying the farm. And the only reason was because there was these rundown cabins on it. And we had to convince the bank that those cabins could help make the payment, plus the CRP, plus the tillable rent, all the things. So Jacob's expertise in land and how to make land profitable really came into play there. And so now it was my turn to step up that on my side of things. And again, we weren't even married yet. It was about 6 months before we got married that we bought the farm and bought the cabins. And I started at the same time being more active on social media and sharing my hunting stories and sharing my outdoor lifestyle, sharing a little bit about the cabins, but not really a whole lot, just because I didn't know enough about them yet. I ended up growing a social media following of over 100,000 followers between all platforms. I ended up on a national TV show on the Outdoor Channel. And then I ended up selling it and giving it all up. I just quit cold turkey, shut my page off, all the things. What I realized is, one, I still needed to find myself in business. And in the meantime, I had started making these cabins more profitable and wanting to focus more time on marketing them versus marketing myself.
Right.
And the thing that I realize with marketing is, again, it's a lot about psychology, right? But if you identify it and you apply it, you can always be a widget if you're a marketer. You can literally be placed in, I can go and sell watches one day, or I can sell land the next day. As long as you have the obvious baseline experience and the baseline knowledge of what you're selling, as a marketer or as a salesperson, you can literally be a widget anywhere. So that's what I ended up doing, is switching all of my efforts and my marketing and my psychology into the cabins. And that's what we're doing now with High Point, is we are literally taking all the knowledge that I have basically curated over the years, as well as Jacob. Jacob is an amazing marketer and salesman as well. And I always hate using the word salesman, but I want to change the term, because it's not like, if you're a true salesman, you're not a used car salesman. You are literally tapping into the psychology of what people want. And all you're doing as a salesperson is trying to get them to make a decision, whether if it's a no or a yes. You just want to get them to a decision, and everything in between is the psychology part of it, and the marketing part of it, the branding part of it. So that's what we're doing now with High Point, and it's really started to take off, and it's been phenomenal.
Yeah, I think like it's interesting. I guess I didn't know that about you with your background in psychology, because is very similar to mine.
Mhm.
Is that's my thought. Originally, when I went to college, I was, like, I come from an agriculture background. So when I went to college right out of high school, I went right into agribusiness, and, you know, too young, didn't have any, like, did not want to go to class, did not, and so that went to the military. But once I went back to school, I understood, even if I didn't want to be a therapist,
Mhm.
understanding people is going to, even in management or something like that, that's going to be important for a career going forward. And so that's kind of why I went into psychology, was for the understanding people aspect of it. And I
Yeah,
think it's been great for my career. The careers that I have had is just even managing people and things like that. So you're
absolutely.
absolutely right. And again, sales to me, I totally 100% agree with you. Even like when I was managing residential homes, sales people, it's like, all your job is to unlock homes, pay attention to what people say, so that you can help them find what they're looking for. You're not here to force somebody to take something they don't want. And I think that's where a lot of people go wrong with it. That's why, you get the slimy salesperson like persona that a lot of people have about it. Is you need to look at it from the standpoint of, all your job is pay attention to what people are saying, listen, and help them locate what they're looking for, even if they're not, even if it's not necessarily what they think it is.
Mhm.
Pay attention to what they're saying. So I think that's why, a lot of people are drawn to High Point, is because of the fact that it really is all about, you know, what the client wants is what's most important,
Yep.
right? It's client experience. It's making sure that the client is taken care of, and the client is the most important.
Yep.
Am I wrong with that?
No, getting the client to their goal. Like,
Right.
that's what we want. Whether the goal is, and what the goal can change. Like, it's a moving goalpost. I get that part. Like, sometimes they realize that they don't want that property, or they thought that they wanted this, but there was deal breakers in it. Whether That's all we're trying to do, is get them to a decision. And what we're trying to provide in that is, we're trying to market and promote, like, the properties that we list. We're trying to promote the best aspects globally of that property.
Right.
Like, just because the agent is really into hunting doesn't mean that your buyer is really into hunting. So we really like to look into our client avatar. You've heard Jacob talk about client avatar. You've heard Nick talk about that, our COO. And that right there is your key. That's what you're trying to understand. That's where you're bringing the psychology into. It's not about marketing to a person. It's about, who is your person and what are they interested in. That's exactly what I did with the cabins, and was able to niche down to a very, very niche market. Like, these are not just rundown cabins anymore. They are very luxury, romantic, couples cabins. And the psychology behind that is, a lot of people in the Midwest, like, yes, they probably could afford to go down to Cabo or something, but a lot of them do have farms. A lot of them do have families. A lot of them do have all of these things, and they need some place that they can quickly drive to have an elevated experience. And so, like, that's what I've tapped into with my client avatar. And that's what I promote with all of you guys at High Point, and what we do with our staff and how we do our marketing is like, okay, but what's important to our client avatar? And you've heard Casey Mock talk about this
Yeah.
with Mock Ranches, and it's absolutely true, because if you don't know who your client is and what they're interested in, you can't market to them. You're just throwing crap at the wall. You absolutely need to know the psychology. Like, what does Kobe actually want? What is he actually looking for? Like, oh, he's looking for rural property in Nebraska. Oh, like, it doesn't matter if I want rural property in Nebraska for hunting. It matters what Kobe wants. Listening and finding out. And the best way to understand how to sell something is to listen to exactly what the person is needing. Exactly like you said. You actually have to listen to the person and take it in and then apply it to what you have. And not probably the wrong choice of words, but you don't necessarily need to spin the property to their liking, but you do need to highlight that it does solve a problem for them, or it is the answer to what they were looking for. Not solely because, like, well, this is great hunting. Your client might not care that it's great hunting. They might want it for a yoga studio. Who knows,
Yeah. And may not see that particular property does answer what they've been telling you the whole time that they're looking for.
Yep.
Yeah, that's great. I hate to stop you on this because and I get fascinating people on here, but we do need to take a quick break. We will be right back. The American Land Seller Podcast is brought to you in part by landhub.com. Join us today and experience the expertise of LandHub's land marketing professionals. Whether you're buying or selling, let us show you the way in the ever-evolving world of land transactions. Visit landhub.com and discover what the future of land marketing looks like. Landhub.com, where your land journey begins. All right, we are back here with Shannon Hart. This is the co-owner and CMO, that's Chief Marketing Officer for High Point Land Company. And for those of you that weren't paying attention in the first part, she is like my co-boss, I guess you would call her. But Shannon, I really want to talk to you about, like, I'm kind of fascinated with the cabins, all right? And so I know this was kind of like this fit. I guess this grew from you guys wanting to buy this, I call it the love property, kind of like this love farm that you wanted, this hunting property that you and Jacob kind of that came available. And it was a byproduct, I guess, of how you guys could figure out how to buy it and own it, right? Is that kind of, tell us about this, the cabin company and kind of how it started and what it grew into. It's kind of a big deal now.
Yeah, it's super fun. It's a micro luxury resort in Decorah, Iowa, called Decorah High Point Cabins. And when we had bought the property, again, like I said, it was strictly out of necessity. We had to convince the bank to give us the loan for the entire property, and we didn't have the cash flow to do that. So we had to come up with a business plan, provide that to the bank, and lo and behold, they gave us a check. So then the second part of that was to actually make the thing make money so that we could afford it and not lose the farm. So that was kind of where I came in, is because Jacob was trying to keep High Point going. At this time, I think it was only Jacob. He brought on his dad to be an agent. And then we had like a couple more agents just off, kind of doing their thing. And so he's out there doing auctions, selling property, selling farms, building that out. And I had to build the cabins and get people coming there. Now, these cabins were up and running, but they weren't promoted or marketed. It was very minimal. I don't even know that we even had 10% occupancy. They were only seasonal cabins at the time. So it was a rough go. And Airbnb wasn't even a thing.
Right.
It was 2016 when we got those. When I started actually putting more time and effort into the cabins, which was probably around 2017 and end of 17, because I finally got out of the whole just cleaning cabins and trying to figure out, do I do this chamber of commerce or that chamber of commerce or whatever,
right?
Sifting through all of those things as a new business owner. And um, really honed into what my perfect client was and what my perfect guest was. And what I realized is narrowing down, honestly, geographical location, who was the easiest to get to come to Decorah, Iowa, who was like what their background was, what their demographic was. Were they older couples? Were they younger couples? Were they hunters? Were they fishermen? Were they, what were they? Did they have families? What was it? And I sat there night after night researching like different places around the country, around the Midwest, like why would people go to these things? And, realize like, okay, well, obviously people are going to Colorado and Montana for mountains and all the things, but like, why would someone come here? And like tapping into the staycation location versus a destination, because I do remember utilizing my social media background and my marketing there. And in between that time, I actually ran a lot of other companies' social medias as well, including a lot of our RLI friends. Quite honestly, I spoke at RLI about social media marketing 10 years ago, and really honed in on that for my own business. And once I did that, that's when the dial churned, and it just started taking off, and everything started clicking, and figuring out the psychology of who was coming here and finding out who the best guest was. That's quite honestly what it turned into. Is I was just trying to find who the best guest was. And it was middle-aged to retiree couples that wanted a staycation place that they couldn't be gone for more than 2 or 3 days at a time, and at a premium price with luxury products and great amenities. Like that's all it took. It was just tapping into that psychology and implementing those things. And then in that, when it started to grow, I had to implement processes and systems and hire employees and managers and different aspects of that business. And that's when I was able to tap in even harder onto that and start building more cabins and actually turn it into a full year, not just a seasonal resort.
Yeah. And that, I think that's the interesting thing though, too, is because like you are a huge systems and processes person, right? Like that to you, like I am like more of a, like my wife is the systems and processes person. Like she's the put your feet back on the ground dreamer type of person. I am more of a, I can see the vision of what it looks like in the end and really could give a crap less on what all the things that have to be to get us there, like are, or to keep us there. But I can see the vision, on what it looks like in the end. And so talk to us a little bit about how does that systems and processes, that's the tough part, right? Like that's the, like it's pretty, I guess it's not easy to believe, I guess, that or will things to become big, but it is tough to put those systems and processes in place, correct?
Oh yeah. Putting them in place is not difficult. It's the accountability by it and bringing everyone back to the line, including yourself, because especially as business owners, entrepreneurs, which what our agents are is they are their own business owner. You have these, and you and I have talked about this a lot, like too many shiny objects, too many different avenues to go towards and whatever. And it comes back down to what is duplicatable, what is templatable, and what can be a plug and play. And bringing you back to that thing, because, hey, I know that looks shiny over there, but remember this thing really works and we have to keep going this way. And then we can add things and sprinkle those in later on. But if you don't have the accountability to bring people back to the line, or even yourself back to the line, you're just shooting from the hip. You're just off flailing around and never creating something that is duplicatable and easy to repeat. And that's what I was able to do with the cabins as well.
Right.
Like all of our cabins are situated the same. The ones that I've built are situated the same, thinking about the psychology of our cleaners. Like, so not only am I thinking about marketing psychology to my guests and what's easiest for them and the layout that would be the best and amenities that would be perfect for them, but I'm also thinking about what way do I build this cabin so that it's easiest for my cleaners and my managers to quickly turn over these cabins, to have the most efficient system and process to get one guest in or one guest out and one guest in.
Right.
So it's a constant flow of that. And those systems and processes, when they are duplicatable, create this unique ecosystem that cohesively all works together and is just so fun to watch and so fun to promote.
Yeah. And I think like it's interesting to watch because like especially where you come back to the real estate world where you're dealing with like so many personalities, right? Because honestly, the good ones are a little bit and full of themselves, right? Like they know that they're
Have a little
good.
bit of ego. Like you do want them to have a little bit of an ego. That's what we
Yeah.
look for. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so trying to get those people, especially if they've got experience with in other worlds, like I always thought, I always go back and forth to. It's like, man, it's a catch-22. You either have to deal with the ones that have been doing this for a long time that are really good at what they do, and deal with what comes with that, or you go find ones and build them into good ones, and then they're templated into yours, But
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
no, like I think going back to your cabins though, I think what's fun though is like historically with your social media. I mean, when you were building the cabins, that was stuff that you were putting on social media. Like you were sharing the process and the experience and all that stuff, right? And
I
so
actually wasn't.
you weren't? Oh, I thought you did have like the cabin was being built and stuff. You guys didn't do that?
No, not really. My personal page was just strictly about hunting and women and hunting and trying to help chicks be comfortable hunting in really cold weather, like, and how to be successful and how to calm your nerves and all those things and how to put up a tree stand and all that fun stuff. So I literally, and I think it was because we were so young. We had this at the time had a scarcity mindset that somebody was going to try to take it from us because we were so young and quite honestly naive. Like we didn't know what anything was. I mean, it was wild. And it really wasn't until probably 2020. So almost, I mean, it was 4 to 5 years after we bought the cabins that I actually started promoting the cabins online more
Really?
and started growing them. Yeah, it really wasn't. And then I lost that page. I got locked out. I had like 7,000 followers and got completely locked out of the account. Like it's still sitting there, Decorah High Point Cabins, but I can't get in, still can't get in to this day, and had to start over from scratch in 21 or 22 with my Instagram page. And I was like, what the heck? Like I had this awesome base, like, very niche, sub 10,000, like, which is still, it was still profitable. That is where all of my bookings came from, was social media. And it was a blessing in disguise because I had to start from scratch again. And I had to really think again. And this is the time like when reels started coming out, shorts, all of those kind of things. So I actually had to learn how to do video. And the funny part is every time that we've started something, it's always been really hard, or it's always been like the toughest time to do something. So, 21, a lot of the states were shut down. Like luckily Iowa opened back up and I started getting bookings left and right, like a lot of vacation rentals did, but I was running out of doors. So ended up building another cabin within a month. So then I found out that I loved building and GCing things. And it was just all these different aspects that played into each other. And from 21 or 22, I can't remember which year it is, but since then I'm just about to hit another 100,000 followers on Instagram. Not like totally organic, not paid, not whatever. So you have to just duplicate those things and work into what's working. Like just hone into what's working and duplicate that. Do that again.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people maybe would think that that's not as hard as it is, but it is extremely hard to try and organically find followers on any of the social media platforms. I think there's some people that just kind of luck into it once in a while, but for the most part, it takes dedication and constant posting and posting the right way and posting, and so kudos to you for 100,000. That's quite a bit.
Yeah.
Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, let's talk about like where I'm going in the future, if you don't mind.
Perfect.
All right, we'll be right back.
Land isn't just dirt. It's where memories are made, families are raised, and livelihoods are built. But when it comes time to sell or buy, the weight of the decision is heavy. Where do you even start? Who can you trust to guide you? For too long, land transactions have been treated like a simple exchange. Numbers on a paper, a signature on a line. But it's more than that. At High Point Land Company, we don't just list land. We walk it, we learn its story, and we find the right buyer who understands its worth. You are not just another deal. You are the steward of something bigger. And we are here to help you navigate every step of the way. When it's time to sell, when it's time to buy, we're here. Because land is more than just land. It's your legacy.
All right, we are back with Shannon Hart from High Point Land Company. And Shannon, I do appreciate you taking the time. I know you are super busy. Next week is the big training week. I'm excited to go learn, I guess. I don't know if you can teach an old dog new tricks, but you're going to find out next week, I guess. I'm kind of almost to the point. I got to, I don't know if you guys knew this when you bought me, but I'm kind of almost to the point where I'm wanting to be like the heckler from the Muppets, the guys up in the mezzanine where they just kind of yell stuff down. And
That's why we're putting you up on stage. Like, that's exactly why. Like, we're like, oh gosh, we can feel him itch in there. Like, we better get him up on stage a little bit.
Well, that's right. Yeah, if you can't beat them, join or make them join you or something. Is that what it is?
Force him into it.
Right. Just make him, entertain him just a little bit so he's entertained. I get it. But no, busy couple weeks coming up. Super excited though. I'm next week. What is it? Next week I think is Corbett Cool from Camo Ag. That I'll tell you what, I did do the interview previous, and that is a really cool interview that we did with Corbett because I'm going to be gone, and so that'll be a pre-recorded interview with him. So, but that was a cool interview. We use Camo Ag at High Point, and it is a neat tool. All right, so let's talk about where the plane is going. I know, it's been kind of interesting. High Point has been around for a while. Okay.
Yes.
And so I can tell you, it's been interesting for someone. Like, I think I was one, if I wasn't the first one that kind of got brought on, it kind of seemed like the team had been in place for quite a while. And then it was like, there's this, intentional, like, we're going to make a move, like we're going to grow. And I don't know if I was the first one, but one of the first ones that was like added after. And so it was kind of like, I always laugh. I'm like, man, it's kind of like they have this little twin speak language that nobody really understands, like the core group does. And we're trying to, like some of us are trying to learn it,
Yeah.
But it's fun. It's just fun to watch them, like the original guys, I call them. But we are kind of building an airplane as we're flying it, I like to say.
It is.
And so that has a little bit of growing pains and stuff. But it is an exciting time for High Point. Where exactly is the plane going? Shannon, do you have any idea? Or knowing you guys, there's got to be a destination. Let's hear what your idea is.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so funny that you say, coming in as like a new kid or whatever it is, people have these relationships, and we were very small. Now we're almost up to 40 agents, I think it is, and across 14 states now, hopefully at the end of this week.
13, I think.
Yep. And then we'll be having another one come up here soon. And that part wasn't, I mean, it was intentional for the bigger vision that Jacob had with this company. You know, he doesn't necessarily want to be like a Keller Williams and just be every single agent, every single person is with High Point. He does want to be the best. You know, that's why we have our core values of best customer service, under promise, over deliver. You know, like that's why we have those things. And that it just took off. And when the real estate market took off, I would say during COVID, that's when people just started organically coming to him because of the success, because of the values, because of the niche. Like it just kind of blew up overnight and we didn't know what to expect. So moving forward, and where I came in is developing these systems and these processes and really bringing everyone back to the line. And I know I'm kind of the hammer sometimes, as you know, but bringing people back to that line, because we don't necessarily want to be a corporation where, oh, we're so rigid and we can't do these things. However, we do have to keep it in a tight lane. And with that, that's where we're trying to make sure everyone is on the same page as far as core values of morality, of what values that we as High Point want to represent, of how we want to take care of our customer, of how we want to deliver the product, which we're a service-based product. You know, we're a service industry. We really try to help you through a transaction. Like that's what we're doing. Yes, we're marketers. I would say that's more on the front side, and we are trying to do more of that. But we really want to make it more about the client. And Jacob always kind of laughs too, like, you guys as our agents are our clients. Like that's reality. As for High Point, you're our client, because we do want to make you happy, but we also need to make you fly. Like you guys, and probably lack of better terms, but you know, it's like herding cats, like especially across multiple states, different personalities, all the things, but being able to, again, listen to the people, understand where they're coming from, and then explain to them, like, I understand why you want to do this, but this is why we have to do it this way. And then that usually is like, oh yeah, totally get it. Totally understandable. And with all of these things coming in place now with our systems and our processes within the office and the staff and the growing staff, like we just brought on another videographer, like we're ramping up, and we want to take it to the next level, because we want to be the first option that people think of when it comes to land. Like we want our clients and your clients to know that we're going to take care of you. Like we want to be the first person in your mouth. So trying to hit from every single area is very important to us, but it also goes beyond that. And it's making sure that every agent not performs, but exemplifies those core values and is on board with, you know, making sure that the client is taken care of, you know, again, under promise and over deliver. Like that's what we're going for. And we're really trying to hone in now on the states that we have. Like we are bringing on new states, we're bringing on new agents if they're a good fit, but we don't just take on anyone. Like, you know that, like we've talked about different agents that have wanted to join us, and we're like, it's not going to work. And it's, you know, whether it's a cultural fit, whether it's a work ethic fit, like whatever it is, we are becoming very strategic on who we are hiring. We don't want everyone, but we do want the right ones, because it makes your job easier. Like even as a referral base, like everything gets easier when you have the right people in place. So that's where we're really going right now. And we're really solidifying and fine tuning all of the different aspects of High Point, from the appraisal side of things to the farm management side of things, to the agent side of things, to the staff side of things. Like that's, and marketing, like we are fine tuning everything. And I think it's a great time to do that, because I think that's a part that a lot of people miss, is they just keep growing and not refining.
Yeah. And I think you said something very smart there when you were talking about, like, and it goes back to internal and external customers, that kind of a philosophy of, you know, like the chair that you sit in, you know, what is it? Heavy is the head that wears the crown type of deal. which I have been there, where you have to focus, half your time on your internal customers. What
Yep.
is it your agents need versus what they want? And again, it goes back to during this time of growth, a lot of times it's just as simple as, first of all, finding the people we want on the bus, right? That's a pretty easy feat. And then we got to find the seats that they fit in, and
Yeah.
so, and that can be a painful process. And it can be, sometimes there's a lot of people getting on and off the bus while you're going through that. Well, we thought you were one of our people and you just aren't, like for whatever reason, it just wasn't working, and no hard feelings, but there's another bus coming in 10,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so I think that's just one of those things with growth that, that kind of happens.
Yeah.
What's the 5-year, 10-year goal look like? Are we taking over the world, or are we just taking over central United States, or is it just simply as a really quality opportunity opens up, we just want to be a luxury, like that high end brand,
Yeah. We really want to be that boutique. So just like the cabins, I could add more doors. I could just keep adding doors like Hilton and like just cover the market. We could be Keller Williams and just take on anybody and just, they fizzle out, If they stay on, they stay on, go that route. And we don't want to do that, because that's when the personal touch leaves. That's when the customer experience leaves. Like that's when the client experience leaves. Everything that we do, from the agents to the client to our staff, is all about the experience. Like it is extremely important to me, and you know this, that like my staff, their culture fit is one of the most important things to me, because when everyone is working cohesively, that's when the magic happens. And that's what we try to bring to the table with our agents that we bring on. That's what we try to bring to the table with clients that we bring on. Like we want to make sure that their experience is exponential. Like that's our key goal here. Like our goals, if you want to do monetary wise, like we are looking for $1 billion, but it's not just like hit $1 billion and, oh, we made it. No, like this is $1 billion. And then how do we keep growing? Like it's always about progress. It is not about the end goal. It is not about, Jacob and I are pretty young as far as co-owners and founders and all that. We're only in our 30s, and most people don't start a successful business until they're in their 40s. We have a lot of time and effort and energy left, and we want to just keep going on this thing. And it's the thing that excites us the most. Like I could have just rested on my laurels and just, the cabins are running great. I could be a housewife doing Pilates and going shopping. Like that's what I could be doing, because like I finished a business to where it fits my lifestyle, but I'm missing out on High Point. Like High Point is going to the moon, and it is exciting and it's fun and it's getting tweaked in ways that just like moves the dial so much. And that's what really excites us, is the progress that it's heading towards, and the progress of every single day. We want to reward our wins, but we also are always looking to like, okay, but how do we tweak it even better? How do we make that even better for the client? How do we make that even better for the agent? How do we make that better for the staff, where they want to stay with us, where they only use us, where if you mention selling your land, the first name that comes out is High Point. Like, I think Hull and Hall has done a spectacular job over the years. They're a very small niche group, but they are the epitome of luxury real estate. They were the first ones to have, the $20 million listings. Now you just see every random Colorado listing at $20 million for 5 acres. But,
Yeah.
At the grand scheme of things, Hall and Hall set the bar for luxury property. And that's what we're trying to do with farmland, with land, with ranches, with hunting properties, with rec properties, anything to do with land. We want to be the best. We want to be the first name out of your mouth, and with good intention, not, we have to be good intention, which is why we create such a good client experience. And that's why we want to focus on that, is we want this to be an actual experience for the client. That's key, because AI is coming in, and there's a lot of residential systems and programs and agents that are going to be replaced by AI. You can't replace experience, and you can't replace how you can make someone feel. And I think later on, that is what like our niche in land or in auctions is going to be. It's going to be an experience, and it is going to be a great experience that people are going to want and that they will pay for. So that's where we're going. It's not the bright shiny like, oh, we're going to do 10 billion in sales and we're going to have, 5,000 agents. Like, I don't want 5,000 agents. I want you 40, 50 to be so exceptional. And then we'll go up from there. But we got to get everyone on board, and they're already there. So like that's where we're just progressing forward.
Yeah, and I think what like I think like I call it my gap year between the year between when I sold my company and when I joined High Point. The company that I was with their philosophy was intended to be that like they were not going to have that, they were going to do that. That was their mindset idea is we are not going to, like we are not going to just hire agents to have agents, and I see that that's not the case, because it's really not very easy to do that, Shannon. It's not very easy to sit here and look at somebody that's like, ready, willing, fog in a mirror, ready to go to work in real estate and has a license and say, sorry, Baba, it's just not, you're not our kind of guy or whatever, it's not that you're a horrible person. You're just not checking all the 87 and a half boxes that High Point has. And it's not that you're a bad person. It's just, we have this much of a standard.
But that's why we're trying to, like, that's the whole point. We're trying to get our client, you as an agent, to a decision. And it's not just because like, oh, you're not a right fit for High Point. It's also that you wouldn't be happy at High Point because of our standards. That's not the goal that you have for yourself. Like, I don't want to make people miserable. Like, that's not the goal here. The goal is that people that love land, that want to do right by people, that want to work with awesome clients, that want to work with awesome team members and staff members and other agents, and that are competent enough to do the job. Like we get bad reps as just a generalized real estate brokerage or firm. I'm actually never been a real estate agent ever. So it's kind of funny that I run a real estate company, but we only look for those individuals that fit the right narrative for us and for them. I never, ever want somebody to be with us. And quite honestly, everyone that we brought on lately that I have tried to scare out of joining us, because it is hard work. We're not just a rest on our laurels type of company. And they have all moved. And I'm okay with that. Like if it's not working out for you at High Point, that is totally okay. I want you happy too. Because if you're here miserable and dreading it and all the things, that's not what I want. Not that we have a lot of those, that's for sure, but I want to make sure that everyone here wants to be here.
Right. Well, and it's not just that. It's like, I think one of the things, that drew me to it is, like you need to be challenged. Right. And I think that in our industry, it's a little like every industry. I think a lot of people just want to sit around and bitch about what you're not doing for me. And I think that it's kind of refreshing to have a company that's like wakes up every day and says, you know what, that's fine. We'll listen to what you think we're not doing for you. But we also like get your butt up and do something.
Yeah.
And guess what? Get up on Tuesday morning and at 8:45, we'll tell you what maybe you should be doing this week to try and change, And so like, as a leader,
like it doesn't go without merit. Like
right.
It's what has been proven to work. And we know that it can work for all of our agents. Like that's the reality, is like your excuses don't matter. It's just if you want to do it or not, if you want to be successful. If that's not your goal, that's okay too. Like that's okay. But that the standards are what need to be upheld.
Well, but I think like I've always said, it's structured. But what
Mhm.
I've always told people is the difference between my success and the things that I've done from the time that I was a leader in the military all the way through selling my company as somebody that was never in real estate, starting as a broker, going to 3 offices with multiple agents, selling it for and then going on to, the things that I've done is I wake up every day and start doing something. Doesn't matter what it is. You have to get up and do something. If you're going to, if you're going to be responsible for yourself, you have to do something. The thing I like about High Point is they sneakily on every day, they give you something to do, right? They don't say, hey, you have to go do this.
No.
But they say, if you do this, you're going to end up successful.
Yeah. The repercussions are success.
Right.
Bummer.
And so, and again, that's the thing that I think is very helpful for people. And again, I've made the mistake and like I've trained agents. And so the thing that I can understand is like, I've given agents everything. I've given them leads. I've given them everything they needed to have to be successful. And that's never worked. It's like, I had a young kid that I thought this kid's a great personality. I'm going to help him get started. I gave him everything that I could possibly give him, including like a lot of leads. And he comes in and he sits down and says, after a $90,000 commission year, and I can't make this work. Well, it wasn't because he couldn't make it work. It's because every time he got a $8,000 commission check, he went on vacation for 3 weeks. I know I can show you why you're not making it work. It's not because, but
exactly.
And so again, I really, I know you got stuff to do. You got to go. I've got a meeting here too, but I appreciate you taking the time. Super excited about where the plane's going. Shannon, you and Jacob have been great to me so far.
You've been great.
And I appreciate the opportunity. And
Same.
so anything you want to say before we take off here?
No, I mean, I love what you're doing here and you're getting out there and you're doing the things. Like, I appreciate everything that you're doing, bringing to our table at High Point. Like, again, like we want people to come, but man, you gotta want it, and you gotta be willing to put in the effort. This isn't just, I think I'll get my license. No, it's a lifestyle, and you know that better than anyone now. And it's been fun to grow, and I think it's just getting more exciting by the day. So I hope that's how it's feeling for all of our agents too. And we're going to see all of you at training day, which is the best day of the year. So we're really excited.
Yep. Everybody gets to come in, get on the same page, get all pumped up. And hopefully, I know we're going to take something away from it. So.
And you're coming to the workout, right?
Oh gosh, I knew you were going to bring that up. I will tell you though, you'll be proud of me. Since you saw me in Arizona, I am down almost 32 pounds. Well, I'm down 32 pounds this morning.
That's amazing. That's awesome.
I'm not signed up for the workout, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to be shamed into doing it. So
no, we won't shame you. You're coming to golf though, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm golfing. I am not good, but I love to do it. So
me neither. I swing like a softball bat, so that's all right.
It's exactly. I don't know what I swing like, but I got new clubs, so it's not been real well this year. We've argued more than we've succeeded, but we're getting there. So
that's all right. We'll have some fun anyway.
Yeah. So anyway, looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing everybody. And thanks again, Shannon, for your time and for all you guys are doing for the industry. Again, like that was my goal when I started, was to help make the industry better. I feel like I'm in a good position to do that with High Point. So we will see you all down the road.
As we wrap up another episode of the American Land Seller Podcast, thank you for joining us. Visit www.americanlandseller.com and find us on one of your favorite podcast platforms. If you would be so kind and you enjoyed today's insights, please like, subscribe, rate, follow, and review us on whatever app you are listening or watching on. Connect with us on social media for updates. Until next week, Kobe wishes you success in your land endeavors. God bless you and have a great week.
The American Land Seller is brought to you in part by LandHub.com. Are you in the market for the perfect piece of land? Look no further than LandHub.com, your solution to the biggest challenges facing land buyers and sellers today. At LandHub, we're revolutionizing land transactions by effectively connecting buyers and sellers. Say goodbye to the struggle of finding or marketing land for sale. We understand the power of new media marketing, leveraging social media and targeted ads to bring together the ideal audience for all property types. Join us today and experience the expertise of LandHub's land marketing professionals. Whether you're buying or selling, let us show you the way in the ever-evolving world of land transactions. Visit landhub.com and discover what the future of land marketing looks like. Landhub.com, where your land journey begins. And High Point Land Company. When it comes to buying and selling land, High Point Land Company sets the standard for excellence across the Midwest and beyond. Our expert land specialists bring unmatched market knowledge and a personal touch to every single transaction. Whether it's a farm, ranch, recreational, or even investment property, we provide the expertise and integrity you can trust. Looking to buy or sell? We offer a premier selection of properties and a marketing strategy designed to get you results. From productive farmland to recreational retreats, we help you maximize your investment. Visit www.highpointlandcompany.com today and experience the difference. High Point Land Company, a true leader in land sales.